Hi everybody, DJ Trains here. Merry Christmas and happy almost New Year's, as I am recording this on the 26th of December, but if it is after New Year's when you're watching this, then Happy New Year's. It's that time of year again, which means it's time for my annual layout tour, where I give you all a tour of my layout and explain all of the changes and additions that have been made in the previous year. So this year, of course, will be all of the changes and additions from 2025. Past couple years, I've done a fun, kind of different, crazy intro, but this year, I thought we'd just take it back to basics. As of course, you know, this year, we're not only approaching the 6th layout tour, which is pretty insane, but we're also at the 5th year of the DJ Trains channel, which is, like, just... or almost at the 5th year of the DJ Trains channel, which is just insane to me to think that we've been going this long. And I think I'd be very foolish to not extend a massive holiday, thank you to everybody who supported my channel this year, because we have, of course, reached a number of crazy milestones, view counts through the roof, subscribers finally hit 1,000 subs. So, yeah, just a massive thank you to everyone who stuck with me this year. Obviously, you know, with the school year and everything, content's been a little slow, but for all intents and purposes, it's been a dang good year for the channel, so thank you to all of you who have tuned in. Thus, without further ado, sit back, relax with a bit of eggnog or a hot chocolate, and enjoy Layout Tour 6, which of course will be showing all changes and additions from 2025. I hope you all enjoy. Alrighty, so with that out of the way, let's get into this year's layout tour. I think this year I want to change things up a bit, because all previous years we've gone from the Arlesdale side all the way around. So I think this year what we'll do instead is we'll start at the Blue Mountain Quarry end of the layout, and we'll loop our way back around to Arlesdale. I think that'd be a pretty good idea. So let's start over here at the Blue Mountain Quarry. Not a lot has changed here. I feel like this is, again, one of those parts of the layout that really doesn't change a lot. So, you know, of course, we have Owen here, Rusty, Peter, Sam, Sir Handel, some older faces, or I guess newer faces, I should say, so like Ivo Hugh, for example. We have them all there. Thumper's off to the corner still. I believe this might actually be a new piece. This is like an aquarium piece that I threw under here. It's a nice little bit of ruins. I thought it looked kind of cool at the Blue Mountain Quarry. So I guess there is a bit of change to the BMQ this year. So yeah, here's another look from this angle as well. If I can just zoom out a little bit more. There you go. Okay, so that's the Blue Mountain Quarry. Now, moving on down here, we have Farquhar Station and Sheds, which, again, still pretty similar, but I think it's, nice to have a nice close-up look. So here's Farquhar Station. I believe this signal box might be new. I don't know if this was here last year. This might, I think this might actually be a new addition, yeah. So the signal box, actually, no, I think I did have this here last year, never mind. The water tower was Christmas of last year, I believe, and then we have Ryan and Daisy, old slow coach, and then I have shifted some of the engines around. So you can see how we have Stepney here, we have Sunny there, and then Murdoch and Molly, who were both present here last year. But like I said, I've been moving some of the engines around. And of course, this whole section, of course, comprises what I call the Farquhar loop. So it's where the main line splits into two, and that's where we have that nice loop. Because in my opinion, layouts are really good with loop lines, so you can just keep going and going and going and have lots and lots of fun. So that's them there. I'll also point out the windmill, which I'll flick the switch on so y'all can see it move. Hit the switch there, you can see it turning. It's a pretty nice thing there. Again, this is a 2024 edition, but it's one I think is pretty cool and worth showing off. So there's the windmill there. Turn it off. And then you have Elizabeth and the flower halt and the barn there too. And then, of course, we can't forget Mrs. Kindly's cottage with Mrs. Kindly right there. And the grist mill, which I believe was a 2024 edition. But as I'm sure you guys might have seen now, a huge change to the layout right here. This was not present last year. This is the new clay pits. So of course, you know, I had originally the Roaring Dino Run Taken Place set here, which I did quite like, but functionality-wise, I really didn't like it because the curve here where it split off was just way too sharp, It was not navigable for larger trains, and the dinosaur, for as cool as the museum is, it stuck out like a sore thumb. I think if I were to do a museum again, I'd probably just purchase the Trackmaster Museum from like 2008 that has the dinosaur skeleton. But I did want a normal quarry / clay pits, so this is here now. I built this layout here with all these curves and tracks and splits and whatnot, and I added the fences. I repainted this area here, so originally I did have the brown paint for the clay pits, but of course I expanded it to include this. And then I put the buildings, and this is actually something I've had for a while. This is the, I think it's called the Mountain Mine Hopper or something. I took this and I painted it up to look like the clay of the ground, and now this sits here. It is, of course, a Trackmaster piece that I dismantled from the original track piece. So there's this here. But I think it looks really good. Fergus seems to be enjoying it. And the nice part is, too, the clay basically matches this. It's a little lighter, or a little darker than this. But there is that there. And, of course, you got the Horrid Lorry, Timothy, Bill, Ben, Marion. You got Mavis, and of course Craig, my OC, who's doing quite well. So there's that section of the layout there. I'll also point out the railway workers here, ripping up some of the old lines. They seem to be having a good time. So that's the clay pits. Oh, this tree is knocked over. I went on a bit of a cleaning spree earlier today to get the layout ready, and I knocked over a bunch of stuff, so you might see some stuff knocked over. But that's the clay pits, and essentially this kind of Farquhar section of the layout. But as we jump over to this side, we do have some notable changes. Namely, of course, the fact that I really should have watched last year's tour. The Wellsworth has changed up quite a bit. Of course, the airport is no longer here. I don't remember if it was still here during last year's layout tour. It might not have been. But now, of course, we have the Wellsworth Yard, where we have Philip, Rebecca, and Nia station, along with the Sodor engine wash. The scrapyard is where it's always been back here, but now we have some more houses and a nicer, kind of more definitive Wellsworth Village, as well as the Vicarage Orchard, which I feel really kind of makes this part of the layout stand out and look a little nicer. So we have Trevor the traction engine there. Oh, I just bumped the docks. With his driver, who let's say is Jem Cole, and then of course the Anglican Church right here. So Wellsworth, it's not like, oh my gosh, look at that part of the layout, but it's a very cozy, comforting part, and I think it looks really good. So we'll just kind of get in back here so you guys can see all of it. Yeah, it starts at that junction there, of course. But now it's time for one of the biggest updates to the layout that I've had. I think you all are really going to like this part. We finally have a painted Brendam docks. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's actually another change I forgot to mention, which I'll circle back to when I'm done talking about the docks. But we now have a fully painted Brendam docks yard. That's all basically encompassing the yard, and it makes it look so much better, so much more industrial and grimy, and it makes it look how you would want the docks to actually look. We also have some more darkened water, and I'll explain that in a minute as to why it looks a little darker. So basically, when it came to painting the dockyard here, I started out with a gray, and the gray was working good, but I kind of ran out, so I ended up having to mix a silver, a gray, and a white together, and it created this sort of different colored, splashy kind of tone, but it was nice because the silver had a bit of grit to it, so it creates this kind of grimy, much more industrial tone, which I, greatly prefer. So there's that there. And the reason the water here is darker is because I spilt silver on it and I had to go over and repaint it with a darker blue, but it is there. So just to show you all, again, how some of the engines have moved. We have Boko at the docks now, because I think it makes more sense. He's more tied to Brendam. We have Charlie, Billy, Arthur. Still have the Toronto Maple Leafs, my nod to Canada, of course. We have Salty and Porter. Skip is still in his shed. Carly's over here once I move my shadow. Our good old friend Cranky the Crane. And then down here we have Bulstrode, 10 Cents, Sunshine, Lucinda, this little capsule play railboat that I don't know the name of, the Brio ship, and Captain. But I said I forgot to mention something, so I'll mention it now. These walls are new. They're actually tunnel portals. They're from the Canadian craft store Michaels. They have a lot of really good stuff for layout building, but these are actually tunnel portals, but I love them because they look like the retaining walls that are used in the Thomas and Friends show during some of the shots. So I grabbed a bunch of them, and I've been putting them up all over the layout. So there's some here, and then I had so many, I was able to actually build this complete wall all the way to the end of Knapford there. But I just think it really creates some depth. It really looks really good. I'm super happy with how this turned out. So definitely, if you're building layouts, I highly recommend. And if you're in Canada, of course, they might have Michaels in the States. I don't know. I'd have to look, but and elsewhere. But if you are looking to improve your layout, I cannot recommend these enough. They are a little pricey. It's about $15 for a pack. But seriously, it really improves your layouts right there. I'll also come down here so you guys can look under the hopper. There's Hector the Horde and some troublesome trucks. They're all just hanging out there. There's some more freight cars over here and then over here as well. But moving along the line, we now come to Tidmouth Sheds, where we of course have the steam team. I'll open the doors so you guys can see them. They're all hanging out here. I don't know if it was like this last year, but I do have the entire steam team at Tidmouth now. Edward, Emily, Toby, Thomas, Gordon, Henry, James, Percy. They're all here. This was another addition. I painted Tidmouth Sheds. I gave it this nice ballast look to it. Again, this might have been a 2024 change, not a 25, but I don't really remember, so it's been a busy year, guys. How's that? So they're all here, and Tidmouth now has this nice ballasty yard look, which I think looks so much better than the green, like that stark green right in the middle. So we have that, we have the water tower, and we have the Sodor Railway Repair. He's just hanging out there having a grand old time. But that's Tidmouth Sheds. So we have that there. But now, of course, we can move into Knapford Village, which I really got to zoom out because this has improved in so many awesome ways that I am just utterly so happy with. So first of all, Knapford, of course, noticeably has a new roof. The old one was soldering wires with a vinyl cover, and it held okay, but it looked really cruddy. Now I have this much stronger plastic roof, and it's held so much better. It's a great big giant plastic jar I cut in half and then cut into quarters on this side. But it's held way better. I might repaint the original frame of Knapford, but it, for all intents and purposes, is kind of the way I want it, and I like it a lot. This is kind of the view from the inside of the station. The station is a bit large, but in terms of what I would want out of a die-cast Knapford station, or at least in terms of one that's compatible with the die-cast ranges, this is basically it, and I think it looks really good. We, of course, have Rosie, Neil, Stafford here as well, some freight cars. I've rearranged the yard a bit, too. So now the coaches have their own little kind of section that's much more navigable and easy for the engines to shunt them into. Annie and Clarabelle, some branch line coaches, and the express coaches, of course. Knapford Village, still the same. The toy shop, the house, the school, the government building, the church, the hot dog stand right there. And, of course, one of my newer additions, the memorial, the Remembrance Memorial, which I like to think in my headcanon is, of course, for all those who fought in the World Wars and the Korean War on the island of Sodor, and the Boer Wars as well. So it's a really nice addition. It's a Hornby piece, I believe. It is 00 scale, I think. But I just think it really makes the town look really good. I have debated painting this up and having it be like a dirt road or something, but we'll see. I also should mention that this got painted too. Knapford now has the ballasted yard, which I think, again, makes it pop so much more, makes it look so much better. So I don't really have that much more to say about Knapford other than I think it's really shaping up these days. We also have the Sodor Ironworks right here, which again, not a lot of significant change, other than, again, some painting. So once again, like Brendam Docks, I kind of made it looking more industrial and grimy. So we have this gray painting down here, which I think really makes it kind of stand out. We have, who's this? Is this Airy? No beard. That's Airy, and then Bert's way in the back there doing his thing. So yeah, the Ironworks, oops, just bumped Knapford. The Ironworks looks really, really good these days. I feel. So we'll move down the line a bit more to a section that has not changed a ton, but it's still worth going over. So first of all, we have the Caldy Fell Mine with the mining cars there and that old take and play destination. And as we come down here, we have the Caldy Fell Railway, which of course has Caldy, Lord Harry, and Godred. The line snakes under the main line and then goes up Caldy Fell to the top where we have the Caldy Fell passenger cars and the oil car. So that's that railway there. Again, nothing too crazy. Directly on the other side of Caldy Fell, we have Crovan's Gate with the steamworks, the two workshops, the old Crovan's Gate covered bridge, Victor and Kevin, and some village houses, as well as the waste dump with Whiff and Scruff. I tried a thing this year where I actually linked these two tracks together and then had the waste dump combined with the scrapyard, but I didn't like that, so I ended up moving it back here. Pardon me, which I think looks way better. So you have them all there. And then moving down the line, of course, you have the Diesel Works, which again, not too much change, but still a very awesome piece to look at. So we have Diesel 10 here, the Bandai Japanese one, Dart, Den, Splatter and Dodge, Diesel, Norman and Dennis, Paxton and Sydney, Derek, so they're all there, and of course the old clock tower behind them there. That's one of my favorite pieces. And this, of course, I should say as well, is the Crovan's Gate branch line, so it snakes down. We have the house by the bridge here, the Sodor Power Station. We have the signal box, another little halt, and then the rescue center as well, which has Rocky, Flynn, Harvey, Bell, this fire truck here, and fire car. Again, not a lot of change, but still cool enough. And then it links back up with the main line, where we, of course, now can talk about the Mithwaite Bridge. Again, not a lot of crazy change, but still a very important and awesome part of the layout, as well as the sawmill yard, where we have the windmill. Of course, it's been here since 1899, the sawmill, and George the steamroller, who's been working here probably longer than he likes to admit, and this little shack here. Definitely one of the most intricate and cool parts of the layout, in my opinion. Moving up further, we come to Mithwaite proper, which has a lot of awesome stuff to talk about. First of all, I'll point out how we have the walls here again. So once again, those retaining walls or tunnel portals, I love them. We have the addition of the Mithwaite Cemetery. So again, a Michael's find. Michael's does a lot of Halloween Village type stuff, and they had the tombstones. So I bought them, and I've set up a little cemetery here at the Mithwaite Presbyterian Church, which I think has turned out really good. Also bought some of these coffins. So I think, yeah, it just looks really good there. And it turned out really well, and aesthetically it all kind of fits. We have the Mithwaite Village with some candy cars now by the bakery, Mithwaite Station, that little cabin there. And then, of course, the Mithwaite Fueling Depot, which has had quite a bit of significant change. So if you remember from last year, originally the access point was here, and you'd go into the depot and you could access it all. And the siding for the engines came off of the main line. I decided to ditch that because I didn't like it. I thought it made more sense to have the access for the fueling depot off the main line and the engines on the branch line, or the siding at least. So now, and this is also a piece that got added to where the construction workers were last year, but now you come into the fueling depot, you have the water tower, you have the diesel fuel tanker here, you come in through here and you have the coal hopper and coaling yard, that little shed there, the general store, the mail car sidings, and then of course from the branch line you have where the engines are. So now we have Flora, Hank, and Neville, as well as Stanley. Stanley has moved here now. And Terrence's farm, once again, has been downsized a little bit. This is also painted brown now, I wanted to add. But he is still here, he's still kicking, and so is his garden and his chickens. So, how you doing there, Terrence? But yeah, so Mithwaite Village changed quite a bit, I think very much for the better. I'm extremely happy with how Mithwaite Village has turned out. So we curve once again from Mithwaite Village, and we come through the tunnel. We have Ulfstead Castle here with some unique engines. So we have Stephen, Millie, Bertram up there, and all sorts of knickknacks and bits and bobs. I like putting the more gimmicky rolling stock here at Ulfstead because it makes sense. Ulfstead's like the biggest tourist attraction on the island, so to have the carnival cars, the museum cars, which of course now we don't have a museum, so there's a spot for them, and then the dinosaur and the treasure all there. I think it looks much better, as well as the castles. So that's Ulfstead Castle. We then, of course, come to the airport too, which I believe might have been in the last layout tour, but I don't remember. Either way, the airport is now on this side of the island, and I think it works much better here because there isn't as much clutter and stuff compared to that side. I think it makes much more sense for Jeremy to be here. So we have the airport. I think it looks much better kind of off to the side in terms of right in the middle. And then one of my favorite changes from the year, we have this texture, this mat in the pack area where the construction workers have also been moved. And the reason that I have this here is because I found this reptile mat at a pet store and I thought it would look really good. So I put it right here in the middle of the pack yard and I think it looks awesome. So we have Alfie, Jack, Patrick, Max and Monty, Kelly, Byron, Oliver, Nelson, Isabella, Ned, and Buster, of course. So they're right there. And then for our last stop of this layout tour 6, we have the Arlesdale Railway, which of course has Jock, Rex, Bert, the Take and Play Mike, which might have been here last year, might not have been, and Frank. Of course, the layout of this has still stayed the same, but we now have this hopper here, I should say, and some new boats. So we have this boat here. So I guess it's just one new boat, but the island is still here as well. This is all the same. We have these guys here now too. Some more rolling stock I put on. I change up what the rolling stock I use on this part of the layout is once in a while, but you can see how it's this kind of dog bone shape, and it really kind of sticks together and works out really, really good. But as you can see, Arlesdale, as I said, hasn't really changed. Alrighty, so that concludes Layout Tour 6, which of course showcased all changes and additions from 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for future videos, because I might have time coming up, might not, we'll see. I'll definitely take those suggestions. I have placed my orders on some 80th anniversary merch, so those videos and reviews are coming soon as well. And yeah, I look super forward to 2026 and everything that will bring to the channel. So thanks for watching. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.